As you can see, I'm with the Communist Party of Great Britain, Marxist-Leninist. It's the Communist Party in England. Today we're celebrating May Day. If you look around us, I'm sure you have some footage in your video of it. May Day, I'm sure you know, comes from the 1880s in the United States, when workers there were fighting for the 8-hour day against the ruthless exploitation of capitalism. And it's a struggle which is still going on in many third world so-called nations, where capital exploits ruthlessly, prolongs the labour time and intensifies labour power. This is a day of international solidarity won by workers. In fact, on that demonstration on that day, workers in the United States were shot down, and it's become an international symbol since then of workers' resistance against capitalism. For us here in Britain, now, we're facing a time of world economic crisis of capitalism. We're facing a time of increased austerity and cuts. After the Second World War, the British have enjoyed good standards of living. They've enjoyed a national health service, good housing conditions, and they've been told that life will be good for working people under capitalism. But increasingly now, as capitalism is facing crisis, as it can't sell the goods it produces because it's impoverished the masses of the world so much, it's unable to offer a decent standard of living to working people, and cuts are the order of the day. Initially, after the financial crisis, there was a brief attempt to spend our way out of crisis by the United States, as it has been doing actually for 30, 40 years. But now is the time where we're facing a recession similar to the 1920s and 30s, and imperialism, to save its super profits, is desperately trying to depress the conditions of workers at home and wage increasingly ferocious wars of colonialism, basically, against the recently liberated nations of the third world. And again, we're attacking the Libyan people and trying to take their oil under a slogan of getting the dictator Gaddafi this time. Well, Gaddafi is actually, whatever you think of his regime, has provided the best living standards of any nation in Africa for its people. The average wage, average income it's about 13, 14, 15, 16,000 pounds. Now, it might not sound a huge amount to you. It probably does. It sounds a reasonable amount to me, but it's the best standard of living in Africa, and that's his crime. He's taking the material wealth of his country, the oil wealth, the wealth from industry, and he's actually using it to further the interests of the people of Libya, not to give it away to the big oil multinationals. And despite all of the things that he's had to do to stay in power, certain concessions he's had to make because imperialism is powerful, that's the bottom line, and that's why imperialism hates him. So we today are one of the few parties, sadly, in our country who would say victory to Gaddafi, victory to the resistance, as we say victory to the resistance in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, wherever the working people stand and fight capitalism, they find themselves facing US imperialism and our own oppressors, British imperialism. As we look around here, you can see London is faced with monuments. India House down the road, Canada House, Quebec House. Everywhere you look, we have the symbols of empire won by 300 years of British colonialism. The Indian people have known the heel of the Raj. They know that the Union Jack is no more friendly a symbol than the swastika when it comes to their rights and their oppression. That's why a significant proportion of the Indian revolutionary class actually fought against the British, because they were the real enemies, the enemy that you know and oppresses you daily, not a fictitious enemy of someone who actually has no power over you. So the British working class, our role in the CPGB-ml is to make people of England and make people of the wider world understand that their main interest is to fight imperialism, that nothing is more precious than independence and freedom. In our country specifically, our working class movement is dominated by the Labour Party, a party which everywhere fights for imperialism. Bomber Blair fights for imperialism. He's the same person as Bush. It's like a double act. And yet this is the Labour Party we're told is socialism. And even today, because we have a Tory administration in power, so many of our union leaders and so many of our political leaders say our main task is to vote out the Tory party and to vote in the Labour Party. But tell us what we gained from 13 years of Labour administration. War on Yugoslavia, war on Sierra Leone, war on Afghanistan, war on Iraq, war, imperialism abroad, war for oil. Arms manufacturers and oil monopolies made the running. At home, cuts and austerity measures, the same as that we face now. This is what capitalism offers working people. This is what May Day is. It's a sign to increase our resistance, to break the link with Labour, specifically in our country. But if I can show you the back of my t-shirt, to fight the the resistance, to support the resistance, to fight imperialism wherever we are. As our comrade and loved and much lamented comrade Ho Chi Minh said, nothing is more precious than independence and freedom. So I send my revolutionary salute to you all on May Day. I'm with you, comrades. Red salute from London.